Yo, what's good everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be breaking down this NHL DFS slate for Friday, October 21st. We got ourselves just a 3-game slate here tonight, where I'm going to go through a couple of my favorite line stacks, some of my favorite individual plays, and some of my favorite value plays, and then we'll wrap up the video by talking a little prize picks. With that being said, let's dive into my spreadsheet here. And like we always do, we're going to kick things off here in the top left-hand corner with those highest implied game totals, and we got all three of these games coming in with an implied total of 6.5 goals. And then take a look down here at the Vegas odds. Avalanche sitting really nice on the money line, and then the Red Wings and Panthers favored to win their games. With that being said, let's dive into a couple of my favorite line stacks here. Kicking it off with this first line for the Detroit Red Wings. We got Larkin centering Kubalik and Perron. Now this is actually the first full game that they will play together. They got mixed together in the third period last game against the Los Angeles Kings, but I do like the pricing here for these three and the upside considering the matchup against the Chicago Blackhawks. Now, Blackhawks haven't allowed a lot of goals so far this year, but still one of the worst teams in the NHL. They are going to struggle this year. You got a little revenge narrative here with Dominik Kubalik as well, and very cheap there at $3,700. And what I really like is that all three of these guys are currently listed on the #1 power play, so you get a lot of correlation between these three, and they've held their own so far this year. Even though they haven't played together, these three have combined for 5 goals, 6 assists, 11 points in their first 3 games. Now with this next line stack here, it is certainly more of the contrarian route, right? I figure that first line for the Colorado Avalanche is going to be very popular, if not the most popular line stack on this 3-game slate. You got McKinnon centering Rantanen and Lehkonen, and hey, don't get me wrong, I have interest in those guys, but I figured let's get a little more unique on this spreadsheet here today, highlight the other side of this game, because the Seattle Kraken and Chicago Blackhawks, those players will be a lot lower owned on this 3-game slate. Now, I like the way this second line is played for the Kraken so far this year. You got Wenberg centering Burakovsky and Bjorkstrand. They're very cheap to roster, and these guys have combined for 4 goals, 8 assists, 12 points in their first 5 games. Not stellar numbers, but they are getting on the score sheet. Now, you're going to see Wenberg and Bjorkstrand play up on the #1 power play. Burakovsky plays down on the second, but it's basically a 50-50 split between those top 2 power plays, so everyone's getting time on the special teams. Plus, you got a little revenge narrative there with Burakovsky as well, going back to his former team. And for what it's worth, I know the Avalanche have a lot of firepower on the offensive side of things, but they have not been great defensively to start the year, and I'm not convinced that either one of their goaltenders are all that great in Georgiev or Francois. Now folks, before we dive into some of my favorite individual plays here, if you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. And we're going to kick off some of these individual plays here with the forwards. First guy I got there is Nikita Kucherov of the Tampa Bay Lightning. Now I was a little surprised to see that he was not only cheaper than Steven Stamkos, but he's also projected to be lower owned. That last part really caught me off guard considering he is cheaper, but hey, I think it makes sense. Stamkos is leading the NHL with 6 goals right now, shooting the puck a lot, and just off to a really good start. But I'll take advantage of not only the discount here, but the lower ownership. And hey, don't get me wrong, Nikita Kucherov is still going to be very popular on this 3-game slate, but $7,400, I will take advantage of that. He's got 5 assists here to start the year, but has not found the back of the net. He's not afraid to shoot the puck. He has at least 3 shots in 3 of 4 games, so he's bound to find the back of the net here sooner than later. Why not against this in-state rival in the Florida Panthers, who are beat up on the back end right now? No Aaron Ekblad. Brandon Montour might be back here tonight, but he's not really a shutdown defenseman, more of an offensive defenseman. And Nikita Kucherov has played well against the Florida Panthers over the course of his career, where he's racked up 16 goals, 19 assists in 27 games. Now, on the other side of that game, I like Matthew Tkachuk here of the Florida Panthers, and let's highlight Sam Bennett at the same time. Both those guys playing together on the second line in #1 power play, and I like the chemistry I've seen early on here from these two, who have combined for 3 goals, 7 assists, 10 points in their first 4 games. Tkachuk is second on the team in expected goals. Bennett is 4th on the team in expected goals, so they're definitely getting a lot of chances and opportunity, and have made the most of that that by getting on the score sheet. They're two guys who aren't afraid to mix it up, so hopefully they can stay out of the penalty box in this rivalry game. But assuming things don't get out of hand, I do like the upside for these two in this game, and I just think Bennett is a little too cheap here at $5,000, considering the ice time and opportunity that these two guys get. I then got our Terry Lehkonen there of the Colorado Avalanche, who I kind of name-dropped earlier when I was going through the line stacks. Like I said, I believe that first line for Colorado of McKinnon, Rantanen, and Lehkonen will probably be the most popular line stack on this 3-game slate. Now, McKinnon and Rantanen projecting to be very popular, but Lehkonen, even though he will get some decent ownership, he is projected to be the lowest owned of the 3 on that first line, so maybe you get a little contrarian here on the Colorado side of things. Stack up Lehkonen with Makar, and maybe even Nichushkin. All those guys getting time on the number 1 power play, even though they don't play together all that much 5-on-5. So again, just trying to find unique ways to build our lineups, especially in tournaments, on this 3-game slate. But again, Lehkonen here, a lot of opportunity and a lot of upside, and he's projected to be the lowest owned of the 3 on that first line. And then one more forward that I like on the Seattle side of things is Jaden Schwartz, who's off to a really good start this year and a very affordable price tag of $4,200. He's getting time on that first line in number 2 power play, leads the Kraken with 2.7 expected goals. He's turned that into 2 goals, 1 assist through 5 games, but he's hit double-digit DraftKings points in 4 of 5 games. I like the upside there considering the price, and he's just shooting the puck a lot in general. That's what's led to the expected goals. He's got 18 shots on net here through 5 games. Ice time won't be an issue, should log about 17 plus minutes here tonight, and again, someone that we should be able to get at pretty low ownership. Now moving over here to the defensemen, and I have no issue spending up at this position here tonight. Honestly, I might start some of my lineups with Makar and Hedman and then just spend down at the forward position. I think that could be a contrarian strategy. Look, I don't think I need to convince anybody to play Cale Makar, reigning Norris Trophy winner, Conn Smythe winner. This guy has done it all already at 23 years old, and it seems like he's only going to get better going forward. A lot of offensive upside in a good home matchup against the Seattle Kraken. Now, word is that Brandon Montour of the Florida Panthers could return here tonight, and if that's the case, he's a solid value play in the 4K range. Very well could get time on that number 1 power play. Kind of bumping down Gustav Forsling, but I still think Forsling is in play as well. Off to a really good start for the Panthers this year. He's got 1 goal, 3 assists, 4 points in his team's first 4 games. I love the way he's shooting the puck. He's got 4+ shots on net in 3 of 4 games, and has hit 13.5+ DraftKings points in 3 of 4 as well, and actually has games back-to-back here of 20+ DraftKings points. He's going to log about 26+ minutes here in this game, and even though he's not a consistent guy on the power play, he does log big minutes on the penalty kill, and a guy who can rack up DraftKings points in a number of different ways. Now, one defenseman who I think has some really nice value tonight is Philip Ornick of the Detroit Red Wings. Looks like he's up on the number 1 power play based off of yesterday's practice lines. I'll take advantage of that, especially in this matchup here against the Chicago Blackhawks, and a very affordable price tag here of $4,200. Now, he's got just 2 assists through 3 games, but you like to see him getting on the score sheet. He's got 3+ shots in 2 of 3 games as well, and he's not afraid to block some shots either, so definitely a guy who can rack up those DraftKings points in a number of ways, just like Gustav Forsling. But ultimately, it comes down to the price here, considering the opportunity, especially on that number 1 power play. I'm not going to be afraid to mix him in with that first line that I highlighted earlier. And speaking of guys who aren't afraid to block shots, look no further than Connor Murphy of the Chicago Blackhawks, and that's basically what you're banking on is him blocking 3+ shots in this game, getting you that 3-point DraftKings bonus. If he happens to find the score sheet or shoot the puck, that's just an additional bonus from this guy. Now, he's got 3+ block shots in 2 of 3 games this year, where he's racked up a combined 9 in 3 games, so he's averaging about 3 per game. That's exactly what you're looking for out of this guy. Should play about 20+ minutes here in this game, and gets time on the penalty kill. Now, when it comes to the goaltenders here tonight, it is a pretty gross slate in my opinion, and I mentioned this in the past. When it comes to smaller slates like this, there's really a case to be made to roster any one of these goaltenders. It just comes down to what the rest of your lineup looks like. So if I'm going to roll out a bunch of Chicago Blackhawks in a lineup tonight, then no, I'm not going to play Nedeljkovic in that same lineup. So it does come down to that roster construction for you. I will mention that I do think Andrei Vasilevskiy is probably too cheap at $7,600, but Alex Nedeljkovic of the Detroit Red Wings is going to be my main go-to goaltender here tonight. Again, I'm just not really too concerned about this Chicago Blackhawks team, and Ned looked very good in his first start against the New Jersey Devils, where he saved 37 of 39 shots. That's a save percentage of .949, very good numbers there, and racked up 28 DraftKings points. The cause for concern here is Chicago really doesn't shoot the puck all that much, which is why this is such a gross slate here for goaltenders. You're probably going to have to roster someone in a high-scoring game or roster one of these goalies playing an opponent who doesn't shoot the puck all that much. And as always, going to wrap up this spreadsheet here with 3 low-priced options or sub-4K forward plays. First guy I got there is Carter Verhaeghe of the Florida Panthers, who plays up on that first line with Barkov and Reinhart and gets time on that number 2 power play. Look, he's a very streaky player, and I know it's early in this season, but he is coming fresh off of a 2-goal game against the Philadelphia Flyers, so maybe he rides that into tonight's game. Next is Vladislav Namestnikov there of the Tampa Bay Lightning. He's getting opportunity to play on that second line right now with Steven Stamkos, who's hot, like I mentioned earlier, leads the league in goals right now with 6, and he's getting time on the number 1 power play. At least he was in yesterday's practice, so I'm going to take advantage of that at this price here at $3,000. He's now got 3 assists through 4 games and should log closer to 15 plus minutes here tonight, so definitely an opportunity play. And then Max Domi there of the Chicago Blackhawks. I wanted to highlight at least one Blackhawk on this spreadsheet. He's going to play on that first line in number 1 power play. Actually leads the team in expected goals, which isn't much, but he does lead the team there. And it's hard to find a lot of positive things about this Chicago team, but I do like the opportunity here considering the price for Max Domi. And then to wrap up this video here, want to talk a little prize picks with you guys. Had ourselves a good night last night, ended up going 3-1. The night before that, we ended up going 4-1 with that free Steph Curry pick. So back-to-back nights have treated us well. Looking to close out the week here on a good note too. I'm getting this video out a little bit late here, so I want to wrap it up. But for those of you who have not signed up for prize picks yet, I got a promo code that you should definitely be taking advantage of. When you're signing up, use my promo code GRIFF, GRIFF, and they'll give you all the way up to a $100 match deposit. Again, you don't have to put $100 in. You want to put in 50, they'll match 50. You want to put in 20, they'll match 20. They'll match anything up to $100. Again, as long as you're using my promo code GRIFF, GRIFF, upon signing up. Now I'm going to go through these picks here, do my research, and I'll let you know my final picks in a comment below on this video, and as always, I'll be sure to pin that comment as well. Alright everyone, that is going to wrap up this video here for today. As always, thank y'all for taking the time out of your day to watch the content here on this channel. If you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. Let's have ourselves a great day here, folks. Let's win some money on this 3-game slate. Have yourself a good weekend as well. I'm out of here.